Hey guys, it's Juicy S, and I'm filming a video today about how I made my junk journal. I had filmed a flip through on Facebook and wanted to show people that had been asking me questions about how I made it. So here it is. I like to make my junk journals out of various art papers that I've made and plain papers and paper bags. This is an art paper on Bristol that I've chosen for the cover. It's pretty thick, and then all of the other pages are going to be a size that will go with that. There's a gel print, here's a piece of a shopping bag, and the rest of the pieces in this signature are just plain mixed media paper that I'm going to use for art journaling. So that'll be the first signature. I'm going to sew all those together. The second signature here is a bunch more papers that I just really loved, and I wanted to include them. So there are different sorts of things and different sizes. So this is just magazine, that's some scrapbook paper, some Japanese paper, just some dotted paper and music sheet, another gel print, book pages, gel print, more magazine. And as you can see, these are getting smaller the closer to the center that I go. So this actually will be the center of the journal once it's all sewn together. I'm also going to add these paper bag pieces over to the side that I have, two of them. I'm going to sew them together into a pocket that I'll also sew into the journal. So I'll show you how to do that. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I'm sewing these two pieces together on three sides, leaving the top open. So you've got three side seams, and then I've left the kind of the rough edge as my open edge. And that'll be the top of the pocket. So it'll get folded in half and then sewn in with the signatures, and then I'll have kind of a pocket on either side of the journal. So now I'm going to sew the signatures together. As you can see, I'm sewing this one that includes all of those blank pages first. So this just has the gel print, the piece of bag, and then all of those plain pages. And so I'm getting that one seam right down the middle of the fold. It folds right back up like that. I'll trim off the threads later. And it's okay with me if it's kind of funky. So the second one is with the one with all of those little pages in it. So I kind of have to be careful aligning it up. And I'm sewing it from the inside instead of the outside just because there were a lot of little things to deal with and make sure that they were on the right alignment. So that worked out pretty well. I have everything intact here. Now I'm ready to assemble it. So now I am ready to assemble all of the parts together. And on my old journal, I used just some hemp cord to sew it together. And that's fine. I got some pretty big holes in there, so I was able to thread the hemp through. And then I tied it on the outside. You'll see that when I assemble this new one, I'm going to tie it on the inside. So with this one, I'm also going to use some linen, that wax linen. It's a little bit thinner, but it's strong, and a needle to get it through. And I have to obviously cut all of these threads off of my pieces that I've sewn on the sewing machine. And while I'm doing that, I wanted to explain a little bit about my physical condition. I don't know if you guys have even noticed, but with my mouth, I speak a little bit differently because I had surgery on my tongue. I had to have cancer removed from it last year. And in order to rebuild the part of my tongue that they removed to remove the cancer, they had to do a skin, what they call a flap, from my forearm on my left arm into my mouth, and that's why I have a scar on my left forearm. I'm wearing bracelets over it, so you can't really see it that well. But that's my deal. So in case you were curious, So now I've got all the threads off, and I'm gonna just nestle these things together and put the cover on last. So I've got the bigger pieces on the outside, the smaller signature nestled on the center of that, and in between those, sandwiched in between those, I have the grocery bag pockets that I had made. And as you can see, I kind of move off camera a little bit here. So I did a little bit of editing so that you could see, but I did manage to poke all the holes in through with an awl and through the spine, just holding the pieces together. Because they're already sewn with the sewing machine, it isn't really hard to hold them together and poke these holes. They kind of stay in place. They're not moving around a lot, so you can get the holes even and lined up. So sorry about the camera's work here. I'm new at this process. But you get the idea. So now I'm going to sew it together. And it's just a simple pamphlet stitch. And I just have the thread threaded through. It's not knotted or anything. I'm just going to go through the center from the outside, or from the inside, sorry, from the inside, because I want to tie it in the end on the inside. And then I'm going to go back through from the outside into one of the third holes on either side. And then from the inside out through that other far hole. So now I have a big stitch down the center of my book and a little tail thread coming out through the center. And then I'm going to thread the last stitch through the hole in the back in the center. So I have 2 stitches on the outside, 1 big stitch on the inside, and now I'm going to make sure that I thread one of these little tails under the big stitch that's there. You can see me pulling it out. And then I'm going to tie 2 knots, like a half knot, and then again to make a whole knot over that big stitch so that it stays secure. I did, pull it pretty tight, not like aggressively, but tight enough so it will hold. And then I'm just cutting off the long ends of the thread there. So you can see it's all together. It will stay that way pretty well. It's secure and it's neat and tidy, and all of my pages they're in there. They're not like, it's not professional bookbinding, but it's going to hold it together. It's going to be fun to work with. It has a bunch of things that I love in it, those palm trees and pockets and some of my gel prints and art papers that I made. So I'm going to have a lot of fun working in this. One final thing that I like to do in order to finish the book is to round the corners of the cover, at least with a punch. And you can see that punch is a corner rounder. I did that on my old journal. I used it for other things like this little tab and some other pages in the journal, and I may end up doing that with some of the other pages in my new journal, but for now I'm just going to show you a couple of these corners and the end product. I like to punch it so I can see the corner through the back of the punch. It looks like I'm doing it upside down, but I guess I am, but that's so I can see. So you've got all the corners rounded. It's pretty much finished. You can page through and make sure everything's right side up. If it's not, you can always just cut that stitch and redo it. It really doesn't take much time, and it's not a huge waste of materials to just do it over with if you got something upside down. I love this new little journal, and I'm going to have fun junk journaling in it and art journaling in it, and I hope this gives you guys an idea of how I put that one together. It's pretty much the same process, just different stuff included in it, as will always be the case because some items of junk are just one of a kind. So every junk journal will be different. If you have any questions, you can always email me at juicy.s.art@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. You can also visit my website at juicy-s.net. And I will look forward to hearing from you through there. You can subscribe to receive notifications from me there. Check out my blog. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.